Hi, it's Bill here. It's the day after Thanksgiving in 2021, uh, and I'm going to do a video where I'm going to talk a little bit about honing and how I hone. Um, uh, when I took up shaving with straights, it didn't take long for it to become my opinion that if this is a method that you should choose, that you want to how you want to shave, sooner or later you are going to eventually, unless you want to be sending your razors out to somebody, and there's no guarantee that if you send them to somebody that they'll come back to your liking, but you're going to have to learn to sharpen your razors yourself. Okay, that's and when I talk about what I do need to give the disclaimer that this is stuff that I found that works for me, stuff that I like, and I really don't care how you choose to get your edge, as long as you get your edge and you're happy with it and you like to shave with it. Until I found this stuff and this method, I just was not happy. I was just not successful at it. And along the way, I had come to the conclusion that looking at the razor, the few small sampling of razors I had, that most, if not all of them, were imperfect. Okay. And here's an example. I've got here a gold dollar, I've got a Dovo, and I've got a 5/8 Dovo and a 6/8 Ti. None of them are flat on the spine. And this is a flat reference stone that I keep in, and it's may not be something that you could see here with the camera, but if you lay this without touching the edge down to the stone on the spine, and you can rock that into this till it touches, you can look and you can see on all of these for sure. You can see that there is light. There is an imperfect. This is not straight. This is not flat. So you have a problem honing, okay? Because if you are going to hone, the popular method, the way that in modern days it has been taught, and is that you have to have your stones flat, and you have to put the razor on the stone. You have to move it, and that's all well and good until you start doing some of to use a smaller stroke, or till you come off the stone, or till you do something. Now, the most popular method to address the inconsistency in here is to put a piece of tape on it. It'll wear a little bit, and you replace it every once in a while as it kind of wears down, and it minimizes the amount of differences in movement that this is going to have while you're on the stone. The chief advocate of the use of a shaped hone in the United States is a guy who sells razors in Florida. He's not at all, in my mind, he's not at all unlike the guy who started, who really was the godfather of modern straight razor use, which would be Len Abrams, and he started a forum straight razor place to address and support his business, which was Straight Razor Designs, where he was selling straight razors. And the guy in Florida has not done all that much different in where he's trying to help provide a method to address the initial problem that I found in straight razor shaving, is how do you here at home for yourself hold and maintain an edge. Okay. Now, I mean, there's a whole lot that has gone on, okay, with some of that stuff, and Straight Razor Place is still now back in, at least the domain name is back in Len Abrams' hand. There was a thing where the Stolen Razor Palace, or whatever they call it, nowadays it's a fiasco. Okay, and I'm going to limit that there. I'll probably do another video where I talk about the home police and how they came after me for using this stuff. But I'm not going to post it to anywhere other than to YouTube. And people will have to go to YouTube and see that if they want to hear me talk about it. If not, we'll limit it at that. Okay. So a little less than a year ago, this guy in Florida who has been pursuing this method of honing on a curved surface did so because he was told by more than one of the European razor makers that Americans were honing wrong. Okay, so and for this, a lot of guys went after him. Okay, but what he was saying made sense to me. I found that in my business dealing with him, he was pretty much a straight shooter. He would give you information, both positive and negative. He did not try to make your decision for you. He gave you the information that you needed to make your own decision. And I was allowed to think for myself, and I valued him as a vendor and a place to go for that reason. And when he started talking about convex hones, I started listening to him, and it made sense to me because if I take this razor, which is not perfect, and I lay this here on the spine, I have, like, on both sides, I have 2 points of contact on this spine. Okay, now in sharpening for me was if this spine is going to be your guide as to how you are holding the angle to put the edge on it, 2 points is never good. So it's 1, 2, and then however many points you may have on the edge, depending upon how the edge moves a little bit. One of the advantages of the convex hones, and all my hones are convexed. This one here is a combination arc, and these were made with a plate that I bought. It went on sale a little less than a year ago and was delivered in earlier this year. This is a shaping plate that is CNC machined to where there's 2 radius. There is a short radius, which is about radius wise 3 feet, and there's a larger radius where this is 12 feet. The computer calculated the blending of those 2 radiuses, so when you put a piece of an abrasive on there and you move that across there, it takes the shape of this, and what you are left with on here is a raised elliptical surface. That raised elliptical surface, when you take a razor, and you can see this one is made with the short radius this way and the long radius this way. Okay, you can see that, let's see if we can get a good camera shot there. You can see the bend in it. Okay, let's see if you might be able to see how that kind of rocks across there. Okay, so what you're having is you're only having on the spine 1 point of contact, the smaller point of contact, but 1 point of contact. And depending upon how you hold this and keep this in alignment, it has a corresponding singular point of contact, smaller on the edge than, and you're not honing all the way across. Now, in my discussions with this before, there's a lot of people that came after me, okay? And I saw a lot of pictures, and they talked about frowns and all that stuff. And the interesting thing is not a single one of the people that came after me, and I did not think this up. I'm just the guy who adopted it and made a couple of videos. Okay, there's actually, it turns out that there was some literature describing some of this stuff that goes back into the 1800s, and using wheels and that kind of stuff, little pieces of wheels and wheel-shaped things and convex things. In 1850 or something like that, and then you know, when the Allies bombarded the bejeebers out of the Germans. Probably a lot of textbooks were like totally lost, but this one survived. And there's something from early 1900s, mid 1900s about from Norton. I think it was Norton, the abrasives company, where they were talking about shapes, and they gave illustrations on that. Now, that all made sense to me, okay, but I adopted this before I heard about all of that for the simple reason that it seemed like I had to address something. Now, what I'm going to do here, okay, and like I said, one of the things, a lot of the people that wanted to argue with me, not a single one of them has ever used a convex hone. Not one. Okay, I have not read a single thing from a person that used a convex hone and learned how to hone and has said, oh, this is horrible, I can't get a good edge. But I've seen a lot of stuff that people that have never used these like little pictures and all that kind of stuff of frowny razors. And there's a guy that makes a video of, you know, look, here's the Dovo frown and this is how I take the Dovo frown out because they use convex hones. You know, it's like, dude, give it a rest, will you please? So the idea of honing on a wheel and limiting the amount compensates for the imperfections in the razor. That's as simple as that. What I wanted to do, and I started with shaping. I actually had a strop where I shaped on the short dimension, and I'm actually going to reshape this hone. This hone is shaped with the small radius this way and the long radius this way. I'm going to reshape this on my plate, and I'm going to cut away from the video and come back with the results. And I'm going to work on 3 razors. I'm going to work on, I have a gold dollar, which I've made it to shave. The edge could be better. I have not spent a lot of time on this, but I am going to work on this. And what I'm going to do is, after I shape this to put the short radius here this way, which let's see if you'd be able to see. I don't know if I can quite illustrate it. Okay, I've got to take about 1 millimeter out of each end to get a curvature like this going across. And the idea behind that is, after I do an initial bevel setting on the longer radius stone where I've created my edge all the way out, my bevel all the way out to the edge, I am going to put a secondary back bevel, okay, where I'm gonna literally thin out that bevel behind the edge, and I'm gonna work with that. And this is the stone that I'm gonna choose to do that with. Now, I've done some experiments once with that type of thing, where what I did was I took the razor and I honed it in this direction, which works, and it showed me, and I was kind of happy with the results. But what I want is, I want a little bit larger stroke to make on that curvature to take out the back bevel. Then I'll be going back to other stones, to the black arc with the longer radius, and maybe my nano at 12K to finish. And then I'm gonna go to, and I have a whole bunch of balsa strops. This has also been shaped on there with, this is the one I keep in my shave area where I do the maintenance. This has a 10th micron CBN on it. This is done with the short radius, the 3-foot radius this way, and the 12-foot radius this way. It does take, if using one of these things, you do have to adjust your stroke a little bit. But I've found it pretty effective at holding the edge, helping hold the edge, because you are using an abrasive. And then what I'm kind of liking, and I like to make one of these on the flat side wide, and with this radius in this direction, I'd like to get a nice piece of rue to put on there, to mount on there. I'm liking this calf hide. This is the split leather. I forget which side. It's really, really a soft kind of thing. But this is, in a stropping like this, you are not as likely to, as you can. And when I started getting in the straights, I would hear about, how people would strop and they would damage the edge. You're very, very unlikely to roll an edge over with this as you would be with a hanging strop, which you can pressure a little bit too much. And I still use a hanging strop. But it's one of those things where it takes some time to learn. So I'm going to break away from my recording, and I'm going to start doing some elbow grease and take some stuff off of this. And I may come back in to show some of my honing, and then ultimately I'll be presenting my result. So until then. Hi, Bill again. I'm here the next day with part 2 of my little experiment and work with back-beveled convex honing. I finished putting the 3-foot radius dimension on this clavicule using the shaping plate that I got from Superior Shave, and went ahead and did some work with it, and did a couple of razors, got them all to my liking. They had all been bevel set and shaved with previously. I was okay with the edges I had at that point. And then what I did was I worked them, and there is some convexity this way, but this is like a 12-foot radius. So your contact point is a little bit larger here because this is kind of more flat than that is, which is usually where I'm honing in this direction to isolate an edge with a portion of contact on the spine to guide it. What this does is it does kind of go up into the bevel a little bit. Backbeveling was something that I read about years ago that knife guys were doing. I had put compound bevels on kitchen knives using a rod guide system. But my compound beveling was I was always putting the edge on first at a reduced angle, and then I was putting a secondary bevel on the point, going from this kind of angle to at the point to a broader angle to increase edge durability. And then as I read through it, a lot of the people who were doing and they use the term backbeveling is that they would make the edge at the edge area they want to, and then they would come back again, and then they would be working at an angle like this, which would really, because you're on the back part of the bevel and you're actually thinning that out, and they would never really come to the apex that they had all previously created. And angles I may kind of recall as they may have used on the point, they may have used like a 20 degree from center, or an inclusive 40 degree, and then back beveled it say a 35 degree or something less than that. So I did that with these razors, and one thing I noticed that as you go into the back beveling, you can work it until easily work it without too much work to where it comes back to the edge again. I did play with it with the using the little magic marker trick. We put it on the bevel and you see where you're cutting. And then I went back to finishing hones. The last hone that I like to use is the Nano with 12K, because there's a lot of people that, one of the things about honing that I did not like on naturals is no two rocks are really the same. I mean, you can look at this and you can see that there's differences in the makeup of this particular stone. There's differences in the surface and the composition of Arkansas stones and what they're made of. So every single rock is going to be different, and you can't really say, well, this is what you need to get. I have long time looked at the Suhiro 20K stone. I just don't know if I'm going to spend the bucks to get that. But I am pretty happy with the results I got after doing the back beveling and then refinishing. And then for me, always, the finish always really comes in for me on the test that I use, using abrasively charged balsa. These were also shaped on that particular plate, which I don't know if there'll ever be any more of those. I think the original run was maybe like 200 or something. So there's like 200 of them floating around, but I don't know if the market can really support. I don't know if I would invest my money to have a bunch of these manufactured and then sell them and then find out that they're people who really don't like you and they mail perverted packages like Perv 56 does, and has his dum gang of cheerleaders all cheering on his really deviant behavior. But I go through, I have a whole series of these that I like. That one's got crow ox, and then I've got the iron oxide, and I go all the way down to, and what I really do get is I get like a real shiny polish on the bevel that does work for me. Probably one thing you'll never see is the test that I use ever talked about by anybody from the Hone Police, because as far as I know, I'm the first one who talked about it on videos, and really it is my interpretation of a test that a lot of people have used, where you're checking your edge and you would push cut into a tomato, or you would push cut into a grape or something like that. My problem was I didn't always have tomatoes or grapes around here, and the skins were different, and it was a little inconsistent. And then by accident I found this, and there's a difference in the packing peanuts. Okay, I don't like these. These are they feel less dense, but they're actually harder to cut through than these are, and I'm just not sure. I just found that these little things are the type of thing where it's something that I could repeat, and I could check the different positions of my edge just with a push cut. And like I said, I don't think you'll see any of the Home Police ever adopt this. They'll still hang on to whatever it is that they do. But if you're in the position where you're learning to hone, whatever method you use to learn to hone or choose to sharpen your tools with, you really should try this. You really should try this. Go get a reference with if you have a Chevette or something like that. Go get a reference as to how hard you actually have to push it in. And I'm pretty happy. I got this gold dollar towards really sharp. I went ahead and redid this. Did the backbeveling help? Uh, in theory, I have to think so, but I'll have to shave. The only other person that there's really only a couple of people in the world that have written about having done this type of thing and kind of follow that multiple curvature of the stone type things on their razors. None of them have really posted any negative, and a number of them have really talked very, very positively about it. And it'll be really interesting. I've been doing a longevity test on this, this is the 6/8 Tiers Sard. I'll be trying that. I mean, this should be shaving much better because it is a fresh edge. One downside, if there ever is any more of the shaping plates that show up, or if you ever see one on a buy-sell trade, it's probably worthwhile for whatever investment you make into it if you want to pursue this. Now, the pursuit of this, it's a lot easier shaping synthetic stones. If you have to shape on your own, okay, now I bought this one. Jared had shaped this one originally with the homemade shaping plate that he made by using the amateur telescope lens method to come up with a shaping plate. And I reshaped this. It took me hours and hours and hours with 80 grit silicon carbide paper where I charged it with 60 grit SiC powder. It took me like forever just to bring this into the elliptical shape of that plate. It's hard work. It's like, I love this. Okay, I do love this. The conical is easier to shape than an arc. I would love to have a soft arc, maybe a little longer than this, and that wide, or maybe not quite so wide. I guess that's a little less than 3 inches. I would really kind of like to have one, but the white is much easier to shape. If you go out and you buy one of these black arcs, it's going to be a career getting it into shape. But once you have it, you have it. Okay, I have that, and I'm glad I do. One of the downsides that is published, although it's not been in my experience, is that when you are honing on, let me use this as the illustration. When you're honing this way and you're making your honing, there's a possibility, because of the curvature of the stone, to maybe kick up a little bit of the swarf that you developed and get some scratches further up into your razor that maybe something that you really don't want. Okay, for me, I had asked. This was the last razor I bought. This is a 7/8 oak wing TI, beautiful razor. And I had asked Jared if he would hone that on the smaller thing. He did not want to do that. I ultimately said, hone it. You put the edge on it that you see fit. And he really, even though he has been experimenting with this type of stuff, he did not want to do it to this piece because there is the possibility, and you can kind of see how that shines in there, and the finish that the people at TI had gone to put on there, because there is the possibility that you can kick up some of the abrasives and you could scratch that, and he did not, and I respect him for that. not wanting to deface this, which is, there's not a whole lot really super special about it other than, it's got like the engraving on the spine. It's, it's kind of a collector's piece, although it doesn't, it's a nice razor. Okay. What I didn't see is I didn't see it in mine. When I did this, I just did not see any kicking up of any of the abrasives to deface either side of that. But it is something. It is a side effect that could possibly happen. It wouldn't bother me. It's like I look back to early on when I started acquiring some all-clad cookwares, copper core cookware, which I really like. Beautiful stainless stuff, which is just a beautiful shine. And it's like, if you use these things, they are never going to be the same as with that same polish as they are when they're new. And you had to come to the grips with, okay, if you want these showcase queen pots, okay, just don't use them. You buy them and you're beautiful and all. But if you really want to take the advantage of using and enjoying stuff, it's going to show some signs of wear. Okay, and I'm ultimately probably going to take this, and at some point in time, I'm gonna do this piece. And if it gets some scratches in it, well, so what? It's my stuff, and I want to use it. I think what I'll do is I'll probably follow up with another vid on where I actually do a shave test on those kind of things. And the shave test, shaving with a piece that you sharpen is really the ultimate in proving to yourself whether you have the satisfaction. But I've found that with the use of this kind of thing and poking into it, I found that I have a way here where I'm sharpening my razors to pretty much predict and correlate what kind of satisfaction I'm going to get when I go to shave with an edge that I have. That was one of the biggest things that I really hated. Taking hairs and, pulling a piece of hair and, and pulling it and regripping every time. It just didn't work for me. It was highly inconsistent, far less than scientific in my mind, and it just didn't do it. But this does. So that's my effort in back bevel and honing on a convex stone. It's unlikely that this will become a mainstream thing. It's really unlikely in my mind that straight razor shaving will become a mainstream thing. And having gone through the expenditure of some of what I did because I enjoy it, I enjoy it as a hobby. But if I was to do it again, having experienced what I've experienced and knowing what I know, and in the pursuit of open edge shaving, I really probably would have stopped with chevettes and avoided all this additional expense and the beatings I got from people that just didn't like this guy in Florida. So for me, he was a great vendor. He still is a great vendor. There are people who are in business that attacked me, and they thought it was good because that's what they do. And more power to them. I would never do business with that type of person that has that attack mode built into them. There's like a whole bunch of guys like that over at the Stolen Razor Palace. There's some great guys over there, but there's a whole bunch of people over there they're just attack freaks. That's what they do best. And I'm gonna go ahead. And I hope I didn't go too far, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna post this video up on the Shaving Cadre, which is the one shave forum that I find less likely to attract that type of attack dog. They seem to be very diverse in bunch of people in their backgrounds, a very diverse bunch of people in the things that they like to do and they like to use. And the main key thing for me that I like there was, here's a group of guys that just likes to have fun. They like to have fun in what they do, and they don't really care what other people do, to the point that you have to jump into some sort of thing where you just can't accept something somebody else does. So Bill again on Convex honing, and until we get to do a shave video on these things, I wish you all well. Bye-bye.